My phone vibrated again. I stared at the screen, willing it to make sense. $120 in debt under my name. My pulse jumped. My hands shook. I tried to breathe, but each inhale felt like dragging air through wet cloth. I must be dreaming, I muttered, voice tight. The words sounded hollow even to me. My apartment was quiet, too quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint click of rain against the window. Luck is for people who don't pay attention, I whispered, recalling something I once read, feeling its bitter irony claw through me. I swiped through my banking app again. Every number screamed the same message. Multiple loans, credit lines, transactions I hadn't authorized. They weren't small, they weren't minor. This was orchestrated. Someone had rewritten my life in spreadsheets and signatures while I slept. Hello? The voice on the other end of the line, smooth but sharp, belonged to Ethan Voss, the bank manager. Ms. Callahan, your account has been flagged for multiple high-value transactions. And, his tone dropped. There are loans under your name you did not authorize. I froze. The chair beneath me creaked. What do you mean, loans? My voice trembled. I could hear the unspoken accusation in the words. Ethan continued, calm, clinical. They total $120. We need you to come in, verify your identity, and start the investigation. This could escalate to legal proceedings if unaddressed. I swallowed hard. Legal proceedings, my career, my reputation, my freedom. I felt the room tilt. The words of my mentor echoed. The ones I had repeated to myself through law school. Justice isn't about who's right. It's about who's ready. But I wasn't ready for this. Not like this. I hung up, my mind racing. I couldn't think linearly. I flipped my laptop open. My email was a minefield. Alerts, red flags, odd receipts, one after another. Each click revealed more chaos. A tiny notification caught my eye, an email timestamped the night of Ted's wedding. Marked urgent. The sender's name was blocked. Why now? I wondered, fingers frozen over the trackpad. A soft thump at the door. I flinched. Another one. Then a slow creak, my apartment door. Slightly ajar. I hadn't left it unlocked. My stomach dropped. Every rational thought collided with instinct. I am being watched. I grabbed my phone, thumb trembling over Flick's name. I typed, something's wrong. I need your eyes on this. Now. No response yet. I moved toward the door. Every nerve taut. Listening. Outside, the rain splashed against the concrete. The street lamp casting jagged shadows through the blinds. A shadow moved at the edge of my vision. I blinked. Gone. But the fear didn't leave. The phone buzzed violently. A message from Ethan Voss, Ms. Callahan. Someone may have accessed your accounts from within your household. We need you to come immediately. Time is critical. My breath caught in my throat. My apartment, my sanctuary, felt suddenly like a trap. Every creak, every flicker of light was amplified. Trust is just a line in the sand, easily washed away by a storm. I grabbed my coat, bag, laptop, heart hammering. Every instinct screamed move now. I checked the rearview mirror as I slipped into my car. Shadows shifted across the street. Every figure looked too deliberate, too attentive. I didn't even start the engine before the thought hit me. Cold and sharp. Someone wants me to take the fall, but I have no idea who, yet. The car hummed beneath me. Tires slicing through puddles. Rain plastered my hair to my forehead. Every street lamp flicker felt deliberate, like a warning. My phone buzzed again. Flick. They're inside your network. Don't trust anyone you think you know. I gripped the wheel. My knuckles were white. I muttered, nothing exposes the cracks like a storm. Words I'd repeated to myself through law school. When justice felt just out of reach. Suddenly carried weight. Tonight, they weren't just philosophy, they were survival. I parked outside Jasper Whitmore's loft. He was waiting, coat collar turned up, laptop under arm. You're late, he said, voice tight, not accusatory, worried. I nodded, sliding in. I didn't want to draw attention. But I think they know already. We set up 2 laptops side by side. The first tracked banking transactions. The second ran a forensic scan on emails and server logs. It's messy, Jasper said, tapping keys with military precision. Every trail points somewhere, but all roads lead to family accounts. I froze. Family? Not all of it, but someone close, very close. His eyes didn't waver. I leaned back. The chair creaked. Rain hammered the skylight. Shadows danced across the walls. My breath came fast. To survive, you must first recognize the enemy in your reflection. I repeated it under my breath. The air felt tight. A ping on my laptop. A hidden folder I hadn't noticed. Timestamped the night of Ted's wedding. I hesitated, heart hammering. Slowly, I opened it. Hundreds of transactions, each signed with my name. Rerouted, shell accounts, offshore transfers. My hands shook. This isn't just fraud. This is orchestration. Jasper muttered. Someone mapped it out while you were sleeping. Someone inside your circle. I swallowed. My stomach churned. Every gathering at my family's house flashed across my mind. Smiles. Laughter. The way Tabby always got her way. And my pulse stuttered. Could Helena, my mother, be involved? Flick called. Voice tense. They're monitoring your connection. Secure everything. Encrypt your emails. Do not call anyone on a landline. I grabbed my phone. The city outside blurred. Water streaking the windshield. I imagined eyes watching. Shadows moving between lampposts. Every pedestrian could be a messenger. Every honk a warning. I tapped a notification. An email from Ted. Subject line. Important. For your eyes only. My stomach dropped. I opened it. A spreadsheet detailing wedding expenses and my contributions. But some lines were highlighted. Different handwriting. Annotations that weren't mine. Small, subtle, but damning. I slammed the laptop shut. This isn't just about money. I whispered. It's about control. Jasper looked up. You need to confront them. Victoria, carefully, or they'll trap you further. I swallowed, shaking. Confront who? Mom? Tabby? Ted? He hesitated. All of them, or none. The only way to know is to watch first and strike when they least expect it. My phone vibrated. Unknown number. No caller ID. Text. Stop digging, or it'll cost more than money. A shadow passed across the blinds. I froze. It wasn't just paranoia anymore. They were close. Too close. I grabbed my coat. I need to see them. Now, before they cover every track. Jasper nodded. Good, but remember, never predictable. That's their weapon. The streets of Seattle seemed to tighten around me as I drove. Every turn, every car in the rearview mirror, set my nerves alight. I felt hunted, exposed, vulnerable. Pulling up to my mother's townhouse, I forced myself to inhale. The rain plastered the facade in glossy darkness. A light flickered inside. Movement. Someone pacing, waiting, watching. I stepped out, keys in hand, heart hammering. My breath came in short. Sharp bursts. Every choice has a consequence. Every move is noticed. I whispered it like a mantra. The door opened before I could knock. Helena's smile was perfect, but the eyes, sharp, calculating, betrayed her. Victoria, she said softly, I wondered when you'd arrive. I met it head on. We need to talk, now. Her smile widened. Of course, darling, but let's not make a scene. Behind her, Tabby leaned against the wall. Arms crossed, expression smug. My stomach turned. The air smelled faintly of wet wool and candle wax. The room felt small, confined. I stepped inside. The shadows from the rain outside cut jagged lines across the floor. Each reflection, each movement, made my heart race faster. I wasn't just walking into a conversation. I was walking into a cage. And then my phone buzzed again. Flick's name flashed. They're inside your network. Every device, every connection. Move fast. I swallowed hard, heart in my throat. I need answers, I said, voice low, and I'm not leaving without them. Helena's smile didn't falter. We'll see about that, dear. I froze for a heartbeat. Then realized the room wasn't empty. Every glance, every subtle motion told me the truth. I wasn't alone in my own home. And suddenly, I understood. I was standing in the middle of a trap I couldn't see. The apartment door clicked shut behind me. Rain still rattled the windows. My fingers itched to check the laptops. But I forced myself to breathe. Short, sharp breaths. Control is the only weapon left when the walls close in. Jasper sat cross-legged on the floor. wires trailing from his backpack like veins. "Victoria," he said, voice low, "look at this. The shell accounts, they're nested. Like Russian dolls, every trace loops back to someone in your circle." I sank onto the edge of the sofa, eyes flicking to the shadows curling in the corners of the room. Even a family can be a labyrinth of knives hidden behind smiles. I whispered it aloud, my words barely rose above the hum of the rain. The laptop pinged, a new folder, Ted's wedding night. I opened it, half a dozen PDF statements, each signed with my name. Tiny alterations, rerouted funds, some payments already flagged as loan disbursements. I froze, my heart thumped. The closest enemies are the ones you call family. Every transaction, Jasper muttered, scrolling rapidly, was approved from inside. Someone had your credentials, they knew your patterns. I flinched. My passwords? I never shared them. Exactly, he said, which means either someone cracked them or someone trusted is playing both sides. A sharp ping. Flick. "Victoria, now, stop. They're watching. Every device. Encrypt everything. Disconnect Wi-Fi. They're on your network." I grabbed my phone, eyes darting to the darkened window. Shadows moved across the blinds, long, deliberate, like blades slicing through light. My chest tightened. I whispered, almost to myself, "Fear is a magnifying glass. It reveals the true shape of those who hide behind calm faces." I typed a quick message to Flick. "Meet me. Now. The apartment isn't safe." The car ride was silent. Rain pelted the windshield wipers slicing the storm into rhythmic stabs. Every reflection in the rearview mirror seemed like eyes, following me, waiting. Even the streets feel like traps when trust is gone. Flick met me at a deserted lot near the river. Neon lights flickered off wet concrete, distorted in puddles. "They know," she said bluntly, eyes scanning. "You're not just being watched. Someone is orchestrating this, from inside your family." I felt a surge of nausea. "My mother? My sister?" "Partial," Flick said, voice tight. "But the real operator, you haven't seen yet. Someone calculating every move, using them as pawns." I swallowed. Power is often hidden behind the faces we love the most. Cut to. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. No caller ID. Text. "Stop digging, or it will cost more than money." I cursed under my breath, fists clenching the steering wheel. Threats are the punctuation of fear. They're meant to confuse, not to explain. Back at my apartment, I slipped past the shadows inside. Door locked behind me. Jasper connected another laptop to the network. If they're tracing us, we need to think 3 steps ahead. I leaned over, eyes scanning code lines scrolling across the screen. Each address, each IP pinged back to different family accounts. My stomach sank. Even walls have ears when betrayal lives in the blood. A soft creak behind me. I froze. Slow, deliberate. My pulse spiked. I turned. Nothing. Only the rain tapping against the window. But I knew. Someone had been here, watching, waiting. "Victoria," Jasper whispered, "they're testing you, seeing how far you'll go." I swallowed hard. The thought slammed into me. Every move I made could trigger the next layer of their plan. If I hesitate, I lose more than money. I lose myself. I slid a hand into my coat pocket, fingers brushing the phone. Flick's last instructions were clear. Set the trap. Observe. Strike at the moment they overreach. I glanced at the reflection in the darkened window, my face split by rain-streaked glass. "They think I'm just scared," I muttered, low, almost to myself. "They don't know fear drives me sharper than anger." Cutscene. My laptop pinged one last time. A video attachment. Timestamp. Earlier tonight. Me. Leaving the bank. Entering the car. Every movement tracked. The shadows outside the window. Someone close enough to know every detail. I felt the room tilt. My breath caught. This isn't just fraud. This is control. A message flashed across the screen from an unknown sender. They are closer than you think. Every step. Every friend. Every ally. I snapped the laptop shut. Heart pounding. Fingers shaking. Rain outside became a drumbeat of warning. Shadows flickered in the corner again. I realized something with a chill crawling up my spine. I wasn't just being observed. I was surrounded. And then, a quiet, Almost casual voice from behind me. Victoria, you think you know the game. But you've only just walked onto the board. The rain had stopped, but the streets of Seattle glistened like oil. I parked 3 blocks away from my apartment, every step echoing against wet concrete. Shadows moved in the alleys. Pedestrians, cars, the hum of neon, they all felt deliberate, like the city itself was watching me. Jasper leaned against the hood of my car, laptop bag slung over his shoulder. Victoria, it's worse than we thought. Shell accounts, rerouted loans, half of them traced to people in your immediate circle. I swallowed, my stomach churned. Family? Partial, but someone else is pulling strings, he said, voice low, scanning the street. Someone calculating, someone smart. I clenched my fists. Even the closest bonds can be turned into chains. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Inside the apartment, the air was thick. Rainwater leaked through a corner of the window frame, the steady drip syncing with my heartbeat. I pulled out the laptop, fingers trembling. Jasper connected his devices, creating a temporary network isolated from outside access. Here, he said, pointing at a sequence of transactions. These aren't random. Someone built a map of your routines, your passwords, your bank habits. They anticipated every move. I exhaled slowly, trying to steady my breath. Fear is a magnifying glass. It reveals everything you never wanted to see. I muttered the mantra, feeling its weight. My phone pinged. Flick. They're inside your network. Every device. Encrypt everything. Disconnect Wi-Fi. Do not make calls until I confirm it's safe. I moved like a shadow, disconnecting cables, sealing off the network, heart hammering. Every movement was mirrored by faint creaks, subtle shifts. Someone was watching, always. A notification blinked on the laptop, a video. Timestamp. Last night. Me, leaving the bank, driving home, entering the apartment. Every motion captured, every step tracked. I froze. This isn't just financial manipulation. This is control. Jasper leaned closer. They're testing you, seeing how far you'll go. And they're counting on mistakes. I could feel the walls pressing in. I thought of something I once heard, power lives in anticipation. Not reaction. I repeated it under my breath, letting it anchor me. Then, a sound, slow, deliberate, footsteps on the stairwell outside the apartment. I moved to the window, peering through blinds. The hallway was empty, but the shadows shifted, the faintest outline of someone standing at the far end, waiting, watching. I whispered to Jasper, "We're being baited." He nodded. "Every move you make from now is a signal. They're watching the reaction, not the action." I pulled my coat tighter around me, body tense. We need to flush them out. See who's really behind this, before they cover every trail. We set up cameras and redirected the network so any connection to the shell accounts would ping us. Every alert, every flicker on the monitor made my pulse spike. Every minor detail could reveal the next move. Flick called, voice clipped. "Victoria, you have 3 hours before they escalate. Something is coming. You'll know when it's too late." I bit back a curse. Time had become a predator. I felt hunted, shadowed, cornered. The apartment felt smaller with each passing minute. Even my own reflection on the window pane looked like a stranger. A knock at the door. Sharp, short. My breath froze. Not the usual tap. Deliberate and heavy. Someone testing me. I edged toward the peephole. Empty hallway. I pressed my ear to the door. Nothing, but the feeling didn't leave. Eyes everywhere, watching every hesitation, every twitch. Jasper tapped on the keyboard. "We've traced half the network traffic to your brother's business partner. Someone inside the wedding arrangement. Someone leveraging the family." My stomach dropped. Even love can be weaponized when greed drives the hands behind it. The lights flickered. The rain outside picked up again, hammering the roof like a drum of warning. I could hear footsteps behind the walls now, or maybe imagined them. My pulse raced. Every shadow a threat, every sound a signal. I glanced at the laptop. Another ping. Email from an unknown sender. Every friend, every ally. They're all moves on the board. Don't step wrong. I swallowed. My hands shook. My mind raced. Every decision from now on could trigger escalation. Legal, financial, physical. The lines between family and enemy blurred with each click. I moved toward the door, keys in hand. If they're testing me, I'll test them back. A soft thump against the window. Quick, sharp. My head snapped toward it. Rain slashed across the glass. Shadows shifted. Movement. I grabbed my coat, heart hammering, fingers tight on the phone, whispering under my breath, a mantra to sharpen nerves. Anticipate the storm before it hits, or you drown in it. Then, a sound that made my chest seize, a faint click at the lock. Almost inaudible beneath the patter of rain. And that's when I realized, someone was inside the building. Someone close enough to watch every step I took. Someone who had waited all along. The apartment smelled of rain and fear. I stood in the middle of the living room. Jasper's laptop humming on the table. Flick was behind me, scanning every shadow. I could feel it, every eye in the building. Every whisper of movement, zeroing in. I took a slow breath. Let's do this, I whispered. The only way to win is to step into the fire first. The doorbell rang, sharp, deliberate. I glanced at Flick. She shook her head. Not just a visitor. They were testing me, probing, waiting for a misstep. I opened the door. Helena, Tabby, and Ted stood there. Smiles plastered on their faces. Perfect, calculated, poison wrapped in silk. Victoria, Helena said, voice smooth as glass. We wondered when you'd decide to join us. I think it's time we had an honest conversation, I said, voice steady but low. Truth is a weapon, and timing is the trigger. Tabby smirked. Honest? That's a funny word coming from you. After all, we've all given and taken in this family. It's what we do. I stepped inside, eyes scanning. Every subtle movement, every glance, every twitch in posture was data. Trust is the softest spot on the body. They aim for it first. I placed the printed statements, spreadsheets, and screenshots on the coffee table. These are all the loans, shell accounts, rerouted funds, and forged signatures under my name. Every cent, every transaction, and it all points back to this circle. Helena's smile didn't waver. Tabby rolled her eyes. Ted's fingers twitched. Even innocence can hide complicity. Jasper tapped on the laptop, bringing up surveillance footage from earlier that night. And this, he said, voice cold, proves someone has been following Victoria. Every step, every entrance, every exit. My heart hammered. I met Ted's gaze. His smirk faltered, just a flicker, enough to know he had known. The guilty always betray themselves in tiny increments. I leaned forward. I don't know why you did this. I don't know if it's greed, control, or just habit, but it ends tonight. Tabby laughed. Ends tonight? You have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes. Little sister. A sudden noise, a metallic click. My pulse shot. The back door opened just a crack. A shadow slipped inside, moving fast, deliberate. Jasper lunged for his camera. Flick reached for the nearest light switch. I turned. The figure froze, masked, silent, calculated. Not Helena, not Tabby, not Ted, someone else. And that's when the chessboard flipped. I see you found me, the figure said, voice calm, smooth, ice under skin. I've been waiting. The world narrowed. Everything outside, the rain, the city, the shadows, collapsed into this one person. The one orchestrating every move, every false trail, every fabricated loan. I clenched my fists. Power isn't about money. It's about control, and they've had it over me for too long. They stepped forward, every movement precise, rehearsed. You think you're ready, the voice continued, but you're just reacting to the pieces I've allowed you to see. My mind raced. The surveillance, the shell accounts, the fake loans, the shadow outside, everything pointed here. But seeing them in person, the weight of it all hit like a hammer. Flick whispered, Victoria, they're armed, and they know you're expecting this. Move carefully. I took a deep breath. Heart hammering. Courage isn't absence of fear, it's acting despite it. The masked figure circled slowly. Eyes locked on mine. Every step, every shadow, every flick of movement was a signal. A warning. I caught a glint on their wrist, a small device. Could be a remote, could be anything. But one thing was certain. Every move I made now could trigger escalation, legal, financial, or physical. I squared my shoulders. I've anticipated you, I said, voice low but steady. Every shell, every diversion, every step, and I'm done running. The figure froze, a tiny crack in their composure. Just a second, enough for me to register that their confidence wasn't infinite. Then, a scream from the hallway. Flick darted toward the sound. The figure lunged, fast, almost cinematic, a blur. I pivoted, heart racing, grabbing the nearest object, a vase. Shattered it across the floor. Glass flew, sharp, loud, distracting. The figure stumbled slightly. Jasper yanked the laptop, slamming the screen to the floor. Lights flashing, every motion compressed into rapid cuts, shadows, reflections, rain pounding against the windows, my own pulse in my ears. Now, I yelled. Flick and Jasper moved, blocking exits, cutting off angles. The masked figure froze, hands slightly raised. Then, a phone buzzed in their pocket. They cursed. A name flashed, Ted. My brother. The pieces clicked. He'd facilitated this, or at least given permission. I narrowed my eyes. Even the closest allies can betray when power is at stake. The figure backed away, eyes flicking between us. You don't understand the game. They hissed. But soon, you will. Jasper stepped closer. It ends tonight, all of it, or you face consequences beyond what you imagined. The figure's breath quickened. Then, abruptly, they turned, bolted toward the fire escape. I sprinted after them. Rain spat against my face. City lights blurred into streaks. Each step felt cinematic, every heartbeat a drumbeat of danger. I reached the edge of the balcony. The figure jumped, down to the alley below. Wet concrete, a risky landing. I froze. For a moment, the world held its breath. And then the figure disappeared into the shadows. My chest heaved, fingers trembling, heart racing, and in that instant, I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The door burst open, and I realized he wasn't alone. The sirens cut through the night like knives. Rain-slicked streets reflected flashing lights in long streaks. I pressed my back against the brick wall of the alley. Heart hammering, breaths short and sharp. Every step, every movement, every shadow was a signal. Trust is fragile. Sometimes broken bones are easier to fix than broken trust. Flick's voice came through my earpiece. Clipped, urgent. Victoria, they're cornered. Cameras, evidence, everything's logged. But move carefully. One wrong step. I ignored the warning. Focus sharpened. My eyes darted to the fire escape. The masked mastermind from earlier crouched at the corner of the building. Calculating, precise, cold. The one who had orchestrated the loans, the shell accounts, the manipulated wedding funds. He was about to make a move. Everyone has a role, I whispered to myself. Even pawns can checkmate kings if they see the board clearly. Jasper and Flick flanked me. Every movement synchronized. I could feel the tension in the air, almost tactile, a storm ready to break. My phone buzzed. Another alert from Ethan at the bank. Police have arrived. Backup en route. Evidence secured. I nodded, silent. The mastermind stepped into the open. Rain-slicked jacket, glint of a device in hand. My pulse shot. Victoria, he said calmly, voice low. You've been stubborn, admirable, but this isn't your fight to win. I took a step forward. Every fight I've ever fought has been mine. And this ends tonight. My words hit the rain-soaked concrete like bullets. He laughed. Cold, short, calculated. Do you really think law, evidence, or family loyalty can save you from what's coming? I scanned the alley, noticing the subtle flashes of police lights in the distance. Tactical officers moving into position. Cameras locked. Feeds ready. Every exit blocked. Preparation is power. Hesitation is death. The mastermind lunged. Quick, precise. But I anticipated. Flick kicked a metal trash can into his path. Jasper moved from the other side, slamming the laptop to the ground, triggering alarms, strobing lights, wet pavement, rain spraying. I pivoted, grabbed the device from his hand, a hard, calculated motion. The device slipped, skidded across concrete. He cursed, and that moment, that fraction of a second, police emerged from the shadows, their silhouettes sharp, deliberate. Freeze, drop it. The command cut through the rain like thunder. The mastermind hesitated, eyes darting. Realization hit. His plan, all the manipulations, the forged loans, the shell accounts, it was unraveling. Ted stepped into the light behind him. Face pale, hesitant. Victoria, I shook my head. Even the closest can betray. Even the kindest can falter. But the one who acts wins. Handcuffs clicked. The mastermind was secured. Officers swarmed. Rain poured, drenching everyone. The city felt alive, electric. Shadows dissolved. I sank to the curb, breath shaking. Jasper leaned beside me. Flick handed me my phone. It's over. For now. I watched the masked figure being led away. In the chaos, Helena and Tabby arrived. Faces drained of color. Fear replaced arrogance. The truth, the exposure. The evidence, the public record, had stripped them bare. I whispered to myself, justice isn't revenge, it's the restoration of order. The rain soaked through my clothes, chilled to the bone, but I felt warmth in the knowledge that my name, my credit, my life, was mine again. Ted approached, hesitant. I didn't know. I looked at him, my youngest brother, always so polished, so untouchable, now human in fear and shame. Knowledge doesn't excuse complicity, I said. Power lies in accountability. Flick tapped my shoulder. You did everything right. They underestimated you. I smiled faintly, letting the tension in my shoulders loosen. They always do, I said. Confidence isn't loud. It's steady. It's silent. It's unshakable. The rain slowed. The city exhaled. Neon signs reflected in puddles like fractured diamonds. I stood, stretched, eyes scanning the empty streets. Every alley, every shadow still whispered, but I was no longer afraid. Jasper joined me. You sure this is over? I shook my head slowly. Nothing is ever truly over, I said, but for tonight, I take back my life, my choices, my name, and that's enough. The streets were quiet. The police had left. The mastermind detained. Evidence recorded. Family shaken. Justice served. And in that stillness, I realized something fundamental. Family can betray. Power can corrupt. But integrity can never be taken. I walked to my car. Rain dripping from my coat. Lungs full of cold, electric air. Every step echoed in the empty street. Deliberate, unbroken. I glanced back once at the building. The alley. The shadows. The game's far from over. I murmured, but this time, I know how to play it. And for the first time in weeks, I felt the quiet pulse of control. Steady, mine, unshakable.